Hello and welcome into the JaxUSL Report. We are bi-coastal today. I'm Cole Pepper here in Portland. Mauricio Ruiz is back at our JaxUSL headquarters. Mauricio, it's going to be a big week in the soccer scene.
Cole, great seeing you in the North Pacific and capital city of USA. Here back in Jacksonville, we're still holding it down. As you mentioned, big week ahead for the U.S. women's soccer team going into the World Cup down in Australia and New Zealand, and hopefully bringing back the third World Cup trophy in a row back to the U.S.
Yeah, we're going to take a closer look at what the U.S. women's national team has to do to put another star on the jersey. So, Mauricio, let's look ahead here. And who are the stumbling blocks where the U.S. may have to be careful on their path to another championship?
Yeah, Cole, I really see it starting on the group stages right away with the Netherlands. They were the finalists in the last World Cup with the U.S. They've been Euro champions the last couple of years as well. And it really matters because if you don't come out of your group in first place, now you go on a completely different pathway to potentially play Spain, Sweden. So you really want to make yourself go into those knockout rounds and create an easier pathway than a more difficult pathway all the way to the semifinal or final. So beating the Netherlands will be important because obviously we believe will be Vietnam and Portugal as the two debutants of the World Cup in our group.
All right, well, there is the schedule for the U.S. in the group stage, and it all gets started on Friday night. Of course, the World Cup being played in both Australia and New Zealand, so time zone is going to be a real issue for a lot of fans here in the United States to follow the U.S. women's national team. You can follow the U.S. women's national team, though. We'll have a JaxUSL watch party at Cole Haynes on Friday night, starting at 9 o'clock with the kickoff. You can also follow the American Outlaws to watch at Bottlenose Brewing, again, 9 o'clock Friday for those two watch parties as the U.S. kicks off the World Cup down under. And remember, we are rapidly approaching the start of the first ever women's professional sports franchise of any kind, kicking off in Jacksonville, and that will be the USL Super League. You can put your deposits down for the USL Super League or for the JaxUSL men's team. Just $25 to put your deposit down for season tickets. Go to JaxUSL.com for more details there. All right, one of the other big stories in soccer in the state of Florida certainly occurred this week, Mauricio, as Lionel Messi arrived at Inter Miami. A huge signing, the arguably biggest soccer star in the world, coming to play in the United States. What kind of an impact do you think Messi's arrival in Miami is going to have on the soccer scene nationwide?
Well, Cole, it's not arguably. I think he is the biggest superstar in the world. You look at Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi of the last 15 so years. It's really been their world to capture as they have with all the Ballon d'Ors that they've won. But you look back at 2007 when Beckham arrived in the MLS and the impact that he had. Fast forward now 15 years later, he's actually Messi's boss at Inter Miami. And we're 15 years later in social media, in platforms, and really now Messi, a World Cup champion as well, and everything he's won in his career. It's going to really bring a lot of eyeballs and interest from your natural fans to your more advocate fans, but really a lot of other players are going to be looking at the MLS as potentially as a destination. But looking at U.S. soccer in general, our domestic leagues here in the U.S. would just benefit from additional players coming in here, because if the best player in the world, potentially ever, looks at the MLS. I know it's at the end of his career, but he just won the World Cup last year, still was on top of his game for PSG. If he thinks the MLS is a capable league for several different reasons, other players will start looking at it. Certainly his teammate, Sergio Busquets, that just joined them this past week in the presentation. So the impact that he's going to have, it's unknown, but if you just reference back to Beckham 15 years ago and you double that or triple that, it's going to have a major impact for the domestic leagues, USL included, in the way that other players will start looking at MLS and the U.S. soccer as a potential destination league for them to come to.
Well, certainly a major signing to be sure. Time now for Mauricio's Corner as we look around the USL Championship. And as you take a look at the results from this past weekend's games, Mauricio, what's really jumping out at you from these contests?
Yeah, cool. Not a lot of separation, a lot of parity in the league. El Paso 1-1. You even look at Charleston Battery getting a tie against one of the bottom teams in the league in Miami. But one of the teams that I do think is starting to kind of pick up some steam is FC Tulsa. They're on a 4-game win streak now. And if you can get hot around the right time, I think you're going to start making a claim towards the end of the season.
And there are the Western Conference standings. Sacramento Republic continues to be a team to watch. El Paso has played very well. And we're starting to see a little bit of separation there in the table.
Really, but it's really separation at the top four at the table, and San Diego Loyal, with a great win this past weekend, really stayed tight on the top four race, but they're not separating from each other. And I think that's the biggest thing to highlight here. Opportunities on the table for El Paso the last couple of weeks to separate, Sacramento to separate, but they continue to stay nice and tight and packed on top of the league, which is going to make for a very interesting second half of the USL.
And in the East, Mauricio, who do you like right now? Who really strikes you as a team that's ready to start to put things together to make a charge toward the postseason?
Yeah, I think I want to keep talking about FC Tulsa. A young coaching staff, a brand new team. Blair Gavin, first-time head coach. Richard Ryan, someone that we know really well, first-time assistant coach. Struggled a little bit early in the season to kind of get their feet underneath them, but now that they're rolling, 4 games on a spin, and it's a team with a lot of confidence. If they can get themselves into the middle of the pack on the top 8 playoff spot, I think they're going to finish the season strong, and it really doesn't matter where you finish there. Probably not contending for a regular season title, but if they can finish strong in the top playoff spot, they'll be a difficult team to contend for.
And we'll go out west for our game of the week from this past weekend. The Colorado Springs Switchbacks taking on the San Diego Loyal, and this was a good one and a real interesting study of styles, Mauricio.
Yeah, and the reason why I chose this game, Cole, 2 teams that were fighting for that top 4 spot. They were entering the game at 4 and 5. They stayed in that position, but San Diego obviously took care of their opportunity. Traveling to Colorado, a place where Colorado hadn't lost in 4 straight games. San Diego finishing their away run, 4 road games on the spin, but now coming back home with 6 home games, straight home games. And San Diego, they just started off on a rampage, and no one better than Adrian Perez. What a night he had. And you can see him right away. He's a right winger, left-footed, cuts in on his left foot, silky little left foot, doesn't get tons on it. You look at the time, it's less than 40 seconds on the clock, and Christian Herrera, the goalkeeper, just doesn't get enough paw on it and goes right underneath him. And this game really started. Goals change games, and to get a goal at 40 seconds into the game, it really changes dynamic. And you see here the goalkeeper, not a good start of the game. And once again, Adrian Perez starts to play. He plays it out wide. Joe Corona puts it on a platter for Butley. Keeper, once again, does not get enough on it. Christian Herrera just had a tough start. But what a day Adrian Perez had. Messi-like, we were just talking about him a second ago. Silky little left foot, running through players, breaking lines, setting his teammates up, and really a unmatched header in the back post. But you think it was hard enough for Colorado Switchbacks at this point. It gets even worse. 14 minutes into the game, Romario Williams makes a tough foul on a pressing play. Feels like he got bumped from behind, retaliates. Referee sees the retaliation only, and now the Switchbacks are down to 10 players. And you see here again, really an ugly foul, but what happened after is what got him the ejection. And once again, Adrian Perez on the right side, now using his opposite weaker right foot, but he's got that on his back too. Chips a back post. Another unmarked man for San Diego. Colorado Switchbacks now just scrambling. And you think I get tired of calling his name? First half still, Adrian Perez, he's just all over the place. What should have been goal of the season, certainly for him, but if not for the entire USL, hits off the post, comes back, and Moshaban was right there, kept his feet moving inside the box. That's what good forwards do, and puts it away 4-0 before the first half was even over. And you just see Perez just winks up just for a slight second, sees the back post wide open, and great follow-up rebound. And then towards the end of the game, once again, Adrian Perez finds a player running through. Collier with a little tap in. Beautiful ball into the gap. Colorado Switchbacks try towards the end of the game, get a little bit something on the scoreboard, but Perez was just a little bit too much for him. And Cole, I still yet to see, again, to have 5 goals in the game and 1 player that was an impact and involved in all 5 goals throughout the entire game. I mean, he should be player of the week, player of the month. Give him whatever he wants, because that left foot in that game was inspired. And as San Diego goes back home, as I mentioned, 6 straight home games, if they can get hot off of the performance of Adrian Perez and they can just keep piling wins up, 6 straight home games, they've been on the road for a while, they climbed to 4th place. They should be a team that should be as good as El Paso, Sacramento, and San Antonio. They just got to put some more performances like this one together, and they should be contending for a Western Conference title and hopefully playoff position into a championship.
Well, that's the kind of tactical breakdown you get each and every week here on the JaxUSL Report. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel here and be on the lookout for next week's installment. For Mauricio Ruiz back at our JaxUSL headquarters in Portland, I'm Cole Pepper. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next week.